Zaz, just repeat what you just said just seconds ago.
I regret that I did that, actually. It would have been funny if I didn't say anything. Greg's microphone was like on the other side of the table.
As far away from him as it could have been geographically while staying attached to the table, and he didn't know it because he was too busy making sure his bumper sticker was properly aligned.
Well, he's upset too this morning.
But he's so self-absorbed that he just doesn't think about doing it. This job only exists for him to come in here and promote himself, and he doesn't think about how to do it correctly. But I'm worried about what's happening around here in general. Okay, I'm glad I've got Zaz and Cody today because they're longtime sports veterans. And the question I wanted to ask you, Greg, do you think the McDonald's fries maker, if he's been or she's been working there for 10 years, hates eating McDonald's fries? Do you think that that's something that happens to people?
No, I don't. I think a McDonald's fry, like a piece of pizza, like a good burger, they're just eternal. There's something you like your whole life. But if you're making them every day, regardless, you don't think this, but I've heard it said of people who have been in sports for too long that that's what happens about how they feel about sports. And I'm worried because I'm siding with Jeremy as I hear him wander around the halls here, and everyone he runs into with an enthusiasm where he's like, Kashad Johnson won the dunk competition. He's like, no one around here likes anything. No one here is made happy by sports. And I'm bothered that I see this happening because you guys have been around sports too long that you've just sort of, like, nothing enthuses you anymore. Everything is there to be criticized. Okay, I don't consider myself a part of the sports complaint culture. I really don't. I like to like things. But if you mentioned Kashad Johnson, that's a great story for Kashad Johnson. It's a great story for the Miami Heat. For the NBA, it's a perfect example of what has happened to the dunk contest. Okay, the dunk contest used to be the guys you wanted. The winners have included Julius Erving, Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and now you have Kashad Johnson, who's 14th on the list in minutes played for the Miami Heat. He's a bit player for the Heat who just won the slam dunk. It's a cute little story, but you have 4 players in the slam dunk contest. 4 players. None of them are household names. None of them are stars. That's bad for the league.
But the dunks were good.
Yes, they were.
The dunks were fun.
Not all of them.
That's half the battle.
Not all of them.
And I had a good time watching it, and I learned of some players, and I enjoyed seeing their stories, and I watched them succeed. It was fun.
All right, put it on the
Can't
poll.
we have fun?
I learned. Put it on the poll.
Outline the problem there, pal.
Put it on the poll at Batard Show. Do you watch the NBA All-Star Game so that you can learn of some players? You know what? I regret having Jeremy as an ally.
All right.
How about if you're going to have 4 guys in the dunk contest, how about 2 of them are Wembanyama and LeBron? How about that? How
He doesn't even have to jump.
Hold on a second.
This guy's got ideas.
Let's stop right there. LeBron has been a coward and has run away from the dunk contest since 2003, okay?
Right.
There is no way that the NBA hasn't gone to LeBron and said, hey, you want to join the dunk contest? You want to do the dunk contest? And he said no at every single time.
No, there was one time where he said, I'm going to do it next year.
And you believe that?
Well, clearly
Come
not.
on,
He
you're a
didn't
sucker.
do it.
You're a sucker.
I think Greg just fixed it.
Thank you. I'm using an example here.
Wembanyama
That's all.
and the
Those
dunk
stars in it.
contest?
Yes.
You guys think
Really
you'd
thinking
enjoy
outside
watching
the
that?
Putting stars in.
LeBron and Wemby in the dunk contest? Why haven't they done this?
Well, why haven't they? If the NBA, they're doing everything else to fix their All-Star weekend. They need to get rid of the three-point contest. They've already stolen the...
They need to get rid of it, you said?
Save it for the main show. This is good stuff.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
The highlight of my sports weekend was indeed basketball, but it was old school AM radio crackling, listening to Joe Zagacki call the end of that NC State UM game. It was not the All-Star game. God, what a delight. I was transported in time because Zagacki was so mad. He was just screaming, they're shooting blanks. He said it like 7 times because they couldn't do anything in the last 5 minutes. My goodness, we can't make a free throw. He wanted to curse so bad. And he was surrounded by a crowd that was cursing. And he just kept saying, they keep saying it rhymes with muck. And so I'm listening, and I'm thinking of Joe Zagacki after all these years. Like, he doesn't have a co-host. Like, there's not a color man. It's just him grabbing a box, headed into enemy territory with a couple of people, and it's him doing the broadcast by himself. He's talking to himself, and it'll make you crazy. And the end of that game specifically, I know this is a funny place to start for most of you, but I can't tell you how delighted I was to hear this. Miami has no business winning this game, all right? They're 7 for 17 from the free throw line and 3 for 17 from 3 in the game. But they make a couple of steals, and at the end of the game, they get fouled, and they've got 3 free throws. And I'm saying to Mike, I don't want anybody taking these free throws. I don't want to get 2 free throws, 3 free throws, no free throws. They're going to miss their free throws. But they make the last 3 free throws of the game. And so they end up winning the game, and they're going to get into this tournament because they keep beating Boston colleges, and they beat NC State on the road, and they've got 5 guys. And it's only 5 guys. Like, they cannot play with Duke. They cannot be up here with Iowa State and Arizona and Michigan. They've got 5 guys. And they just went into North Carolina, and North Carolina State, and the crowd got mad at them because the crowd was chanting all game for them to bleep themselves.
Yeah, bleep Miami. So I saw some reporters that just saw the end of that game because Miami scored the last 8 points. It was a pretty improbable comeback, especially because Miami, as Dan highlighted, has been the case this entire season, can't do anything from the free throw line.
Is there a meaning, by the way, with the F Miami, why they're so angry?
Just a conference. NC State crowds, for all athletics, are kind of good. It's a bit of an SEC town. Posing as an ACC, like it's got some juice to it, but they just don't like Miami. I guess, I understand.
They love our show. It's not more popular anywhere in the United States than it is right there.
Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina, we historically did well there, especially when we were on ESPN radio. Thank you for the context. But Miami won that game and then waved goodbye to those in attendance. Absent the context of them being told to bleep themselves the entire game. Sportsmanship and all that. I can get why some people have a problem with it, but it's important context. You've been told for an entire game, bleep yourself. Yeah, you wave that crowd goodbye when you pull off one of the best comebacks of the season.
The school gets fined for that, right? I mean, if you're going to fine schools for storming the court, you should fine a school for an obscene chant. Absolutely.
The school got fined. Miami got fined for sauntering onto the court. I didn't know that was a thing.
Put it on the poll. Should the school be fined for the crowd's obscene chant? What a scold you are.
An F-bomb?
Come on.
You're going to have 20,000 people chanting.
It's a road game.
I'm with them.
There's got to be a line.
Yeah, have some decorum. There are children.
I don't think the F word is the line, but we got to find the line.
You can do
somewhere.
Miami sucks.
I'm shocked nobody agrees with me.
Well, we just did.
It should
you
be
have 2 allies.
It should be $100,000 fine against NC State.
A random number.
That's twice for a court.
A random number would have been
sauntering.
$98,000.
Okay, so you're fining the school because the crowd cursed.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You're right, Jeremy. Some people just don't like sport.
I don't know. I thought it was fine.
He wants his children raised correctly at the sporting event. Look, if you want your kids raised right with decorum and manners, do not take them to a college basketball game on the road.
Yeah, ACC basketball is not the place to do it. But it's why I took exception to what Jeremy was saying before the show when it came to the slam dunk contest. I was like, no, I was enjoying sports. There were other sports on at the time.
Daytona was pretty spectacular this weekend. I want to say poor Michael Jordan. You can't really say poor Michael Jordan, but he finally wins something huge as an owner, and the scandal is now just internet optics. Because, Tony, don't make that face.
Dan, come on. Dan, you saw the video just like I did.
The kid had
sans context. Sans context. I get that.
Oh, sans context.
I'm looking at it. I'm like, I didn't watch the Daytona 500.
What
I
happened
know they
to
put
him?
ice down his
All right,
shorts or
thank
whatever
you,
it was.
Zaz. This is important context. I should share this with the audio audience. Let's not play the video because this kid doesn't need to be in the middle of this any more than he already is. But of course, Michael Jordan, optically, it looked like while winning Daytona as an owner, and he never wins anything as an owner. This is one of the greatest losers who's one of the greatest winners. As an owner, he stinks, but he's not necessarily in NASCAR and certainly not after winning at Daytona. But this is his biggest winning moment since he was playing, right? this moment.
He's won some fishing
And
tournaments.
today the conversation is about the video of him patting a kid down from behind who had a bunch of ice in his shirt, and he was sort of knocking it down.
Looked like playing grab ass.
And in this time of, the Epstein files, that's what happened.
It didn't look great. The optics were bad online.
Agreed.
I don't like hearing this.
It was a bunch of people that were missing the context of that. And I got to say, I was like, what's going on here? But then you realize a kid's shirt is saturated. And I think MJ and his people were explaining, no, the kid got dumped with a beverage that had a bunch of ice in it. And Michael Jordan, happy 63rd birthday. I'm sure he's loving this story as a guy that's never said anything publicly.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
And this has gotten a lot of traction?
It got a lot of traction, but the explanation, I think it's one of the best attempts to diffuse one of these scandals I've seen in quite some time, because once you apply that context to the video, you understand.
Zaz, so you haven't seen it whatsoever?
No, I was away, dog.
Okay, I want you to go look at it. Look on Twitter. Go check MJ and then see the video and then report back to us.
All right. So
He hasn't seen it, Dan. Now he has the context for what he's seen.
Just Google MJ Kids.
The two takeaways from the Daytona.
I mean, that may come up
MJ
with,
playing grab ass and a guy throwing ashes.
We gotta throw that video up.
All right, let's get to the ashes in a second. But before we do that, and also on the last lap, all of the cars exploded.
That also.
It was an incredible race.
Half of the cars lost all of their ability to drive, half of them, because of the number of smoking wrecks that there were on the last lap. But let's get to the ashes here, because this is funny. This reminds me.
This video's weird, by the way.
This reminds me of
It's a little weird.
of John Goodman and The Big Lebowski. Just sort of the famous scenes that you've thought of in life where someone decides to throw ash of a loved one.
A windy day.
Well, it's not just windy. It's that the cars are going 200 miles an hour and they're going to come blow something. Ashes. Right?
For the audio audience, it's a guy running up to the track, leaving his seat.
He's inhaling his father.
It looks like he's like, I want to put my dad's ashes out on the track, and he tries to throw it to this, and it just backfires all in his face, and he ends up.
This video is art, because this is during the finish of the Daytona 500. There are cars wrecking everywhere. He is taking this moment in time to throw the ashes there.
Mike, this is one of the great sports photographs ever taken. It's not just look behind. Look at the amount of fire in
There's
the background.
a car in the grass.
There's a car in the grass, as if it's Talladega Nights. That's correct. And this man, Zaslow said it correctly when he said, that man just inhaled his father. This guy is trying to throw a loved one's ashes on the court, and he's expecting physics, gravity, all of it, to carry with the momentum of his arm the flight of the ashes. But what ends up happening is the funniest thing that could happen, which is not merely him getting hit in the face with his father's ashes, presumably, but also stumbling away, sort of coughing and waving at bees in front of his face, because that's not what he expected at all. Whatever memorial he wanted to honor that loved one with ends up with him coughing and
tear gas,
swatting at his face as if it's being attacked by hornets.
Not a single ash actually made it to the track.
You don't think his father said to him, I want you to inhale me after I die?
Hold on. Let's see this again, just so that I could see. Never mind whether any ash made it to the track. Did any of the ash end up anywhere other than in his face and behind him? I don't think any of it landed in front of him.
That's 75% of the body that he inhaled. Just straight up ended up either on him or in him.
And how do you feel after you've left that circumstance? Can you guys walk me through how you believe? Let's imagine the rest of this scenario. You're not out there by yourself. You've told loved ones, Daddy loved race cars. He loved racing. He's going to forever enjoy that we're going to be able to share his final memory of the things that he loved in life on this track. Now you come back and you haven't thrown any of it on the track, just on an adjacent sort of asphalt. So now you haven't honored your father at all. You've just got ashes all over the track, barred from getting through the cage where the track is housed. How do you think this goes over with the family members and everyone else when he comes back and he's like, I think I screwed that up? Do they soothe him? It's okay. It's how Daddy would have wanted it.
It's probably not all the ashes, right? It's probably just a handful. Right?
It looked like a lot of ash.
You don't throw the whole urn out there.
His throat is raspy this morning, and people are like, you coming down with something? And then he has to explain, no, I inhaled my dad.
How does this go over like today? Can we try and get that person? Can we
already efforting?
Let's go after the Baylor kid who hit 3 grand slams too. I want to talk to in a game, a college baseball game. It didn't have 40 runs; it had 15 runs. His team scored 15 runs. He had 3 grand slams. That doesn't make any sense.
So cool.
That's pretty good. See,
Crazy.
I can't criticize that. That's great. Good for him.
Oh, but he uses an aluminum bat.
Demerit. Got to use a wood bat. They should go back to wooden bats. I hate the ping. Got to have the crack.
See, all he needed was the opening.
That's right. He's gone very negative in his old age.
Mike, you know I have one rule to live by, right?
Don't place parlays on multiple long shots. Don't say a game is won when it hasn't hit 000.
Always drink your Jägermeister ice cold. That's the rule. Everything else is merely a suggestion.
Everything else?
Everything else.
Wearing clean underwear every day?
Well, that's just a personal decision.
Brushing your teeth?
Obviously smart, but not a rule.
Never pee on an electric fence?
Okay, maybe there are 2 rules, but the one that is 100% that I insist on completely, Jägermeister must be drank ice cold. Or don't drink it at all.
Damn, that's cold.
Exactly. You're finally starting to get it.
Drink responsibly. Jägermeister liqueur, 35% alcohol by volume, imported by Mass Jägermeister US, White Plains, New York. Hey everybody, it's Mike Ryan. Now, if you've been following the show, you know I've been traveling, been super busy, been supporting my favorite football team with mixed results, right? Not the greatest hang so far in 2026. I try to find every excuse in the book. I had one buddy that was trying to invite me out. I wanted to stay in. He's like, come on, let's watch this NBA game. So I go over to his house. I watch this NBA game, and guess what? Something amazing happened. He pulled out the Miller Lights, and I knew right away I made the right call. Next thing you know, we're toasting, we're celebrating, we're having a great time. We're talking about nostalgia. We're talking about old friends that we had, and it was all thanks to Miller Lite, that icebreaker. Because when you actually say yes, and you actually show up, you want a beer that fits the moment. For me, that's Miller Lite. Legendary moments start with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
You know, people keep asking me about my 2026 resolutions, and yeah, I got the usual stuff. You know, watch more games, complain about the power play, and pretend like my team's actually going to stay healthy. Haha! But this year, the one at the top of my list is simple. Get comfy. That's where Bombers comes in. They bring serious comfort to my everyday essentials. Bombers just dropped their all-new sports socks, engineered for running, golf, hiking, skiing, snowboarding, basically whatever you're pretending you're about to be really into. And I'm trying to stay active this year by playing hockey. I need these socks. It has cushioning where you need it, it's sweat wicking, solid support, no distractions, just comfort. And for the everyday stuff, Bombers footwear has you covered. Sunday slippers for staying in, Friday sandals for quick errands, and the new Saturday suede slip-ons for when you want comfort but still need to leave the house. Premium everyday go-tos I don't really think about, which is kind of the point. And for every item you buy, Bombers donates one to someone facing housing insecurity. One bought, one donated. Over 150 million items so far. Head over to bombers.com/DKN and use code DKN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/DKN, code DKN at checkout.
Don Le Batard.
He called me on my own podcast. He called me full of shit, claiming that I'm faking interest in the solar eclipse.
Well, you do this. You love to just get excited about everything.
Okay, Junior.
Stugotz.
I had to school you and explain to you.
He was going to take you to Augusta.
When I was 17 years old, Alan Sherry and I used to haunt the Bueller Planetarium.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Let's get some subject matter, though, for him that always brings out the homerific stuff in him. He's written a column for the Miami Herald saluting the new regime for fumigating the place, for getting rid of Tyreek Hill. They gave him an extension 18 months ago. Quiet as it's kept, Bradley Chubb's gone, too. He was the last piece. Remember that? Final piece. They actually gave him giant money as a final piece. All we need is pass rush. This will win us the championship.
Right. And he had 8.5 sacks last year, which led the team after missing the entire 24 season. But it's all money related. You know, they're trying to save on cap space and get themselves up out of trouble because they know that they may have to cut Tua without a trade partner and end up eating almost $100 million. So
you wrote that it's long overdue. This is horrifying to me to watch. 25 years in of this again. You just 18 months ago you told me Tyreek Hill was the future and that this was going to be the offense, and you gave him all sorts of money. Now he's guaranteed $35 million. I got Mike Florio saying every team wants him. Chiefs want him, Patriots want him, Bills want him, Chargers want him, McDaniel wants him. Like, how do you get to the point? Ravens want him. How do you get to the point where, again, 26 years into this, you're starting over from ground zero?
Right.
You don't have any players. You don't have any. You've got Achane, and you don't have any players.
Well, you have Jalen Waddle and a few others. I mean, they're not starting from scratch, but when I say that this is a complete rebuild, it's that there's no Chris Greer anymore. Like that's significant that they finally got rid of the GM who was at the center of all this 20 years of failure.
Greg, forgive me for this because Bradley Chubb, was brought in as a final piece for the Dolphins to think it's some sort of addition to fumigate the entire place, get everyone out of there, get rid of everything that revolves around the past, and start over with no players that anyone has any allegiances to. It's just such a failure of management that has no comp anywhere other than maybe the Jets. And the Jets in the last 25 years, the Jets made it deep into the playoffs.
They're going to be so bad next year. I'm talking like 2 or 3 win kind of, like number 1 overall pick kind of bad. And it's going to be really difficult to judge if Jeff Hafley has any idea what he's doing. They're going to be that kind of bad. But
that's how Flores did it. We thought they were going to be that kind of bad, and then they ended up winning a few games, and it was great coaching. Coaching is great. Look, they've got young promise. But I'm more frustrated by the idea of this is as big a rebuild as I've ever seen around here.
Oh, but Flores' first year was that 7 years ago. It was the same thing.
And you're acting like they didn't need a big rebuild.
I'm not acting like anything other than I can't believe 26 years in with no playoff appearances this century that the answer in 2026 is I'm not complaining that it's so. I can't believe it's so.
Seems like you're sitting on the fence, though. Like, if Greer was still around, I feel like we'd be criticizing that, too.
Yeah, I want you to be clear. Are you arguing for now's the time for cohesion, or you're just frustrated as a Dolphin supporter that they find themselves yet again here at a rebuild?
What I am saying that is startling to say out loud, once you've waived Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb, you have announced to the entirety of the league that you're in a position that none of them are in. It's basically the Raiders, the Jets, maybe Cleveland, even the Titans have hope at quarterback. You're in a position as the Miami Dolphins after 25 years of being rewarded for not being good enough, because the teams that aren't good enough get rewarded for that. 25 years of those rewards, and we're starting all over again, all over in a way that doesn't have players on the field that anyone cares about.
That situation was not announced yesterday with Tyreek Hill and Chubb leaving. That situation was announced when they fired Greer, when they fired McDaniel, and then when they got to a point where they were in dire straits money-wise. I mean, they just had no choice but to. They saved $56 million. I know nobody likes to talk about the salary cap. They saved $56 million Monday against the cap.
Here's the problem.
Why? Because they may end up eating $100 million with Tua.
And so if you want to celebrate accounting on this day, I will remind you Miami gave up a 1, a 2, 2/4, and a 6 for Tyreek, and a 1 for Bradley Chubb.
Yeah, the old regime did, which is why the old regime isn't here
not
anymore.
A postseason victory to show for it. It is an apocalyptic failure of management.
Former management. You're right.
What you're hearing in my voice is just frustration about the idea that Bradley Chubb played what was final piece years here and don't remember a play he made. I'm not saying he didn't make plays, because he did have sacks and he did make a few plays, but his career as a final piece has no playoff victories.
It's weird when I tell you he was here for 4 years, right? Like, it doesn't seem like he was here for 4 years.
It doesn't.
That's a long time.
The Tyreek Hill thing, I would argue, worked out. That was a good acquisition.
He had 2 great seasons.
Yeah, that was a successful acquisition.
I think we'll look back on Tyreek Hill's time here and say that, he was a major positive overall. Like you look at the last 2 years
on the field.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean he's in the gutter off the field. All right, but
But he was sports washed, at least in part, because the first 2 years he brought a hope that hadn't been seen around here since Marino.
I mean, I think he's the third greatest offensive player the Miami Dolphins have ever had. I mean, Marino's obviously number one. I think Ricky's number two, and then Tyreek Hill's number three. If you want to switch Ricky and Tyreek, fine. Wow. But top three offensive player of all time. And those first 2 years that he was here are the best 2 years you've had as a Dolphin fan this century.
Right.
And he was like right at the center of it.
Okay, and they still didn't win a playoff game.
How many times do the Dolphins have the best offense in football? Right? Like, go back 20, 30 years.
You got to go back to Marino somewhere in the late 80s.
Somewhere in the late 80s. And then this guy, with a quarterback that you're going to end up eating $100 million dead money on, those two guys, with the coach that you fired, schemed up an offense that scored 70 points against one of the best defenses we've seen 2 or 3 years later. Right? Like, this era of Dolphins football is kind of encapsulated in that one game, Broncos versus Dolphins, where the entire trajectory of both franchises changed at that very moment.
I am confused, though, with I read your column this morning, Greg. How about that? I read your column. And I am confused with your overall stance on it, that it's long overdue, this rebuild. Which, by the way, they did attempt to do this rebuild 7 years ago, and they were in a much better spot then because there's no Laramie Tunsil on this team. There's no like head start to rebuild with Laramie Tunsil. Don't even give me Paul. You don't even know his first name. You don't even know if that's his first or last name. All right, so don't give me Paul. But I am confused with your column because you're saying how it's long overdue, this rebuild, but you're very famously still wanting another chance for Tua. Like, you don't think Tua's done. It can't be both there. Like, you can't think that they might still have a quarterback but also be all in on a rebuild. Those two don't go together.
The rebuild means they needed to get rid of Chris Greer. If you're going to get rid of Chris Greer and bring in the general manager they did, you know that means they're going to bring in a new head coach again. I like the fact that for the first time in almost all of these 20 years we're talking about, they have a new regime, a total new regime, a new GM and a new head coach. As far as the quarterback goes, I thought they gave up Tua too soon, but I'm trying to deal with reality here. If they're hell-bent to get rid of Tua, they have to save as much money as they can. They're going to get Malik Willis. He's going to be an okay quarterback, and they're going to have enough money, presumably, to get some other pieces that they need. I think they needed to restart. Tyreek Hill's washed. I'm fine to get rid of him, and I don't care that the Chiefs and some other teams are looking for a one-year fix with Tyreek Hill. They needed to save all that money on him. And Bradley Chubb, he's also good. He's good, but the money offsets that.
You traded Jalen Phillips at the end of last year. The part that I want to put in front of you guys, because I don't think it's overreaction of the day, when I say the present predicament where you've got so much money tied up in a quarterback that you're not going to use and you don't yet have a quarterback,
right,
puts Miami in a position I've never seen them in. There's no reason for fans to have an allegiance to a player on this team. Okay. You've got Achane, you've got Waddle, and then you're like, what's here after 26 years of all of this? What's here that I'm supposed to care about? I've never seen the franchise in this particular condition where the longtime Homer columnist is saying, yep, cleanse the whole place. It's long overdue, and there's no hope. Like, maybe Malik Willis will be a good quarterback. He's young. Maybe they'll figure out something, a way to 6 wins or something like that. But I don't think I can remember seeing it like this, where it's not just that you don't have a quarterback. You don't know who your next quarterback's going to be. That quarterback is strangling you with a salary cap, and you don't have any players anybody else wants.
Yeah, and everything you say is the fault of the old regime. Give the new regime a chance. I don't know who you're complaining against, because the people you're complaining against are all gone now.
What I'm saying is that they've left the Dolphins in a position that very few teams in the history of this league have been in.
Correct. Which is why they have a new GM and a new head coach.
I'm just saying, the Raiders have, to show for their recent misfortune, they have a tight end and a running back.
And the number 1 overall pick.
Like, there are reasons to hope there. Like, Cleveland's an eternal mess, but
they're worse. You can point to them and say, well, Myles Garrett's fun.
They're actually not worse, because Myles Garrett could be their Laramie Tunsil, and they can get a head start on rebuilding.
They do have a Pro Bowl quarterback, too.
That got to you late, huh?
It did. I had to catch up to that one.
What happened? What happened?
let's not over-exaggerate by saying the Dolphins have nothing. They have one of the best, fastest running backs in the league. Jalen Waddles is a good wide receiver. They have a Pro Bowl center. Not that anybody pays attention to the offensive line. They do have some pieces to build around.
Greg, you got 53 roster spots.
Right.
There have to be a couple of players on there. I'm saying that look around the league and look around the history of the Dolphins and give me all the times they've been in this position. This particular position, I'm going to say they've never been in it.
I think this is the worst.
Yeah. I think we all agree. The disagreement is that I think I'm giving the new regime a chance, and I'm saying Monday was a good sign by getting rid of a lot of older players.
Well, who's not giving the new regime a
saving
chance?
$55 million.
I think everyone's giving the new regime a chance. Like, who's not giving them a chance?
I mean, Dan's acting like they're partly to blame.
Look, this all you're hearing in my voice is the frustrated analysis of where they find themselves. The people hired to do this are part janitor, part fumigator. This is the job. I'm just frustrated that this is the disrepair that this franchise has been left in after 25 years of rewards because you're not any good. And so you're getting people in the NBA tank to get some of the advantages that the Dolphins have had because they keep stinking and not making the playoffs. You're supposed to get better with you're supposed to have more than what you just said when you've traded, when Waddle's your top 5 pick. When you're picked the way Waddle is picked in the top 10, Waddle has to be a star. Waddle is at almost the bare minimum of what that pick is giving you in terms of value because you're paying him plenty and you're getting not a number 1 receiver.
Don Batard.
All right, we got to go back out there. That was big. Wake him up.
He doesn't want to be bothered anymore. Now it's getting tense because he didn't need that as a result. He needs something that happens.
You can see him mother effing.
He says,
"Can we bother? Are we bothering you right now?
Turn on your microphone, Greg."
My microphone's on.
Stugotz.
Paint the scene.
Paint the scene is I got to go to work. Good night.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
When you take everything into consideration, including the salary cap situation, do you agree or disagree with them getting rid of Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb?
I mean, they have to get out from under the mess because they have to save money.
So you agree then?
I'm just looking at I'm looking at what happened yesterday and the inability to get anything in the name of value for anything that represented 18 months ago. The answer. You extended Tyreek Hill 18 months ago.
They don't have anything that has value. That's why I keep bringing up Laramie Tunsil. Like at least that rebuild, you had something of value to get a head start. Like if they were to put Devon Achane on the block,
yeah, he has value.
Okay, but like what does that mean value? Like what would you even get for a running back? I don't know that you would get that much.
Okay, but the larger point is that Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb had no value.
I'm surprised. Well, what they should have done, they should have traded Bradley Chubb at the trade deadline. Like you cannot convince me that Bradley Chubb had no value, that you couldn't get anything.
And Tyreek Hill, after he quit in the locker room and said, "I don't want to play with these people anymore."
Yeah. And that's not this regime's fault. They weren't here, but it's crazy that it ended with just getting rid of these guys.
Right.
One of them that you extended in Tyreek Hill, and you're getting rid of him for nothing. And Bradley Chubb, who was having a good season, and now you're getting rid of him for nothing.
And I'd still like to have Jalen Phillips if I were the Dolphins, but the old regime traded him to Phillips.
But at least they got something for him. They get like a second? They got something for him.
Not a whole lot, but...
My apologies to Zach Sealer for not celebrating more of his work. Workmanlike work at the center of their defense for all of these years. I salute you, sir, as a defensive tackle. I give you my praise on a negative feeling analysis of a team that I can't remember being in this particular position. Bruce Sherman, though, came out of hiding. I threatened to smoke him out many years ago, never succeeded. He's a very wealthy man, and they can hide, except they come out for spring training. They come out, and they look like this, and this is the kind of stuff they do. I actually think that the Marlins are in pretty good hands, but not because they're his hands, because he's finally put it in the hands of Rays people. Yeah, just give it over to the Rays people. And
I love how he's standing for the audio audience. Bendix is standing right next to Sherman.
Yes, and he's a young man, and he's one of these young men who are running the sport by finding value, doing what the Dolphins weren't doing, right? Because anybody can go get Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb and give them money. Like that's really, it's not. There's not a skill in that, and there is a skill in what it is the Marlins are attempting to build. But Bruce Sherman has been smoked out, and this is what he has to say.
I understand the rules very carefully. I'm an executive council of Major League Baseball. First Marlins owner to be on the executive council. We will do what's requisite given our revenues and given who we are as an organization. And I'm excited. I'm not in this for a profit at all. We don't take a nickel. We haven't taken a nickel out of this in 8 years.
Or
we just keep putting money in. Okay, and I'm happy to do that. And the ownership group is pleased to do that. We want to win. W.I.N. Period.
Ooh, he backed away from the mic, and Greg Cody gave him the back of the hand. You remember the back of the hand from last week? The ultimate disrespect that Greg Cody gives. He spits at the Bruce Sherman sound, spent a nickel. You haven't spent a nickel either.
How long have we been listening to Bruce Sherman say the exact same thing to open every spring training? Teams do both. Teams go through the farm system and develop players and also spend money. If Bruce Sherman would start spending a little bit of money to get, for example, a free agent bat during the offseason, I would have more respect for him. Instead, and I think Bendix is doing a good job, but if you're a Marlins fan, you're waiting for a future that never seems to get here.
We were talking on Friday. Your father doesn't have a greater dismissal than the back of his hand. Like that, I think it is the most disrespectful thing that he does when he's done with people talking. Here's a little more Bruce Sherman. He doesn't talk very much. He hid behind Jeter. Jeter ripped everybody off while he was down here, and he does not talk very often, but he does know how to spell win. Doesn't know how to do it, but knows how to spell it.
Extraordinary expectations for the team for next year. We talked to the players. This investment we made in free agency, by the way, 4 players spent over $20 million. I think it's done with extraordinary care by the gentleman to my left and his entire organization. A lot went into that. The $150 million plus we put into all these facilities, which a lot of you don't see, is truly extraordinary. As that relates, our expectations are to be extremely competitive and continue this path to be successful every single year. And success is not measured by the games in September and August and July. Success is measured by getting to the playoffs continually. That'll be the measurement for our organization, that'll be the measurement for the front office, and that's what the Miami Marlins are going to be all about.
Did he just brag about spending $20 million in free agency?
4 players.
4 players. That's unbelievable.
You say that's unbelievable, but the one time they have spent was on Avisal Garcia. Like some of the worst money ever spent by this franchise. Right. They did actually spend it one time, and I think they've got post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, they gave him 4 years, $53 million under Jeter in that group because Jeter reportedly, according to Barry Jackson, looked Avi in the eye and said, that's a guy who wants to be here at a breakfast. But look, part of the reason they didn't spend a lot this offseason, there are multiple factors here. One is that they have young position players at every spot, and so spending on random veterans that will block those players from developing after a lot of those guys had success last year would make no sense for your organization. Number 2, going into an offseason where there's likely going to be a lockout or collective bargaining issues, dishing out long-term money, particularly to guys outside of the organization, would make no fiscal sense for pretty much any organization that isn't one of those top 5 or 6 in payroll. So if you look around the league, that didn't happen. Like anywhere. The Tigers giving out 3 years to Framber Valdez was like a huge shock.
You know about that project, Wolverine?
I've lost Mike Ryan here with Marlins talk because we've lost him since I need to titillate him a little bit. Get me the ashes.
Get back to U.N. basketball.
I could do that. But let's go back to the
weird thing to do in a sarcastic voice is after we've been talking about bad teams for the last 30 minutes, but cool. All right.
I didn't do University of Miami basketball.
I'm talking directly to Chris.
To the back of his head. You're talking to the back of his head. Look.
Can't turn around. My back hurts.
If I can't get you excited about Joe Zagacki calling the last 5 minutes of a game in which NC State was down 5 and went on like a 9-0 run, and then Miami closed with an 8-0 run, and Zagacki was just screaming at everybody and saying again and again, the crowd keeps saying something that rhymes with muck.
By the way, you saying that he doesn't like being the only voice, storming into the foxhole and being there behind enemy lines, shame on you. That's where he thrives. He loves being in that spot.
You're right. I was going to say it'd be better to share it with a broadcast partner, but you're right. He's going in here with what I imagine.
One-man gang.
What I imagine Joe Zagacki, whatever you imagine a foxhole is, in battle, okay? And whatever it is that you imagine a wartime journalist from the 1950s has to radio back for information, however it is you radio back, or Morse code, however you're getting information back to the States, goes into where the mortar is and the bombs and the explosions and is just carrying nothing but the equipment to broadcast back to home.
It's got the hard hat on.
Joe Zagacki did go into NC State, but what I'm telling you is he was furious with the road team for a bit. He was furious with his guys. He just kept yelling. He must have said six times, "They keep shooting blanks."
Jay Lucas was on Kane's Insight earlier this morning and was talking about how excited he is about how this team is going to look in year 3. And I'm hopeful that he's telling the truth there, because my second team this season is Kentucky basketball, because I am so supporting Mark Pope and that staff right now. I am so worried about losing this head coach because he has been a spectacular hire by Miami.
I don't know if you guys Cam Boozer is named Fort Cameron Indoor, correct? That's the reason that his name. So as a freshman, I don't know if you guys watched him. They beat Syracuse by 40 last night. He's unstoppable in the paint, and he passes really well out of the paint. Like, unbelievably good player for a freshman in college. And I just fear, Mike, that any time that they play anything that's the caliber of Duke, that is going to get Renew into foul trouble. And once Renew's into foul trouble, they don't have any kind of chance against anybody.
Yeah, I agree. But this is a great year 1. I mean, they just beat a team that beat that team, right, in North Carolina. And there were 0 players on this roster. And you're talking about Renew and Henderson. Donaldson can probably be their go-to guy down the stretch. Maybe they get hot. They're going to be a pain in the ass to play. But this is about building right now. And me, as somebody that has watched 2 previous seasons that deflated me after the highs of a Final Four appearance, I am so happy this program is back on track and they play that hard. And I know this guy is a beast on the trail. And if he does stick around, Miami is going to make a Final Four in the next 5 years.
That has been boldly stated by Mike Ryan. That needs some sort of official alert. It needs some. That is the prediction around here that can't be proven for 5 years is the least bold of the bold
for
takes
Kentucky.
That there can be.
He might be going there with Kentucky, but Jay Lucas is a great coach.
That is
they
key.
nailed it.
But it's key. It's key to the bold take. Say something that cannot be proven for 5 more years. It's not like we're going to hold you to account if they don't make it.
Marlins are going to make the NLCS in the next 5 years.
Yeah, we could keep doing this. Yes,
Final Four.
Yes, all of the local teams are going to win all of the championships over the next 5 years.
Except the Dolphins. Except the Dolphins.
Look, just be really bad. Next year's the following quarterback draft class is really good. So just be like really terrible. Commit to being
they're
bad.
Going to be.
All right, we need to get that sound of a producer calling Mike a jackass, a punk, and an assortment of other names next.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Ryan. Now, if you've been following the show, you know I've been traveling, been super busy, been supporting my favorite football team with mixed results, right? Not the greatest hang so far in 2026. I try to find every excuse in the book. I had one buddy that was trying to invite me out. I wanted to stay in. He's like, come on, let's watch this NBA game. So I go over to his house, I watched this NBA game, and guess what? Something amazing happened. He pulled out the Miller Lights, and I knew right away I made the right call. Next thing you know, we're toasting, we're celebrating, we're having a great time, we're talking about nostalgia, we're talking about old friends that we had, and it was all thanks to Miller Lite, that icebreaker. Because when you actually say yes, and you actually show up, you want a beer that fits the moment. For me, that's Miller Lite. Legendary moments start with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.